What's good, everybody? Back once again, but this time I'm gonna get into a little more serious talk, and this is all about the Spurs getting Wemby. Cause I was like, that's pretty much what it is. If the Spurs got something else, then we'd be shocked. But no, they won the little draft lottery, So we all know consensus pick they're gonna get Wemby, and it's funny because I thought about doing a video of like, oh, who gonna win the lottery, and I was like, nah, that's not really worth it. I was like, I'll just wait to see the results, and I'm trying to think. Cause I wanted to come up with like who I thought was actually gonna win, and then I wanted to come up with like the conspiracy or someone who win. Which is funny that like pretty much the conspiracy is that the Spurs is this, and I was like, I get it from everything I've heard about, from everybody, that I get why the Spurs is the pick for this being like the conspiracy pick or whatever like that. But I guess, I was like, I mean, cause to be honest, compared to every other team that had a chance to get him, between like Spurs, Hornets, Detroit, Portland, the Rockets, so, and to me, I'm like, none of them were good enough to use the whole thing of like Derrick Rose going to Chicago, or or LeBron going to Cleveland, Anthony Davis going to New Orleans or whatever because they were about to like sell the team or whatever. I was like, compared to stuff like those where I could see like viable, there was nobody other that like like ratings and like hometown or something like that. I was like, there really wasn't nothing here. I was like, except for the fact that it's like, okay, this is supposed to be the biggest prospect since LeBron. So if he's going to be the biggest prospect since LeBron, that means that you sort of want him to have the best chance to grow and be good, especially because unlike LeBron being from Akron, where they got him in Cleveland, I was like, he doesn't have that same connection, but it's a similar connection. Cause Spurs with their international players and play and whatnot, and them having like Parker, who's French, so it was like another French dude. But they've been really well with international players. Like a lot of international players go over there constantly. But uh, I'm not gonna lie. I actually like the Spurs did such a good job tanking that I forgot they was actually trying to tank. That's how crazy good it was. Especially because I remember it was like early on in the year. I think it was like the first like 2 months or something like that. They was actually winning games, and after a while, like I heard people joke and stuff like that, like on TV and whatnot, about them being like, oh, they started pulling a play because it's like, wait, we're doing way too well here, and that's exactly what happened because they pretty much pulled all those people. But the weird thing is that I'm like, unlike something like the Sixers with the process or the Rockets, how they just got young people and stuff like that, where they're just like young people and they're just playing. You don't know how much they're getting in development and how much they're getting coached and all this other stuff. The thing is that Pop having a bunch of young people that are doing while they're doing the tanking, you also know they're getting pretty good coaching. They're also getting ways to play the game, and I was like, and two, this just seemed like the best case scenario of, especially because he's had big men before. So now this is just another big man, but except for he got more the potential of a perimeter game while also it's not, to me, it's almost like it's like an Anthony Davis or whatever meets a KD in a way of the potential. Um, but yeah, no, I guess the real question is like, cause I'm like, Spurs are going to be a top watch team, probably not like television, like on like the actual national champions, but they're going to be what do they call it? League pass team, or NBA TV team. They're going to be probably a lot of those, and and I was like, of course he's, they're not going to be nothing expecting out of the first year. You just want to see how he do. Saying, I do want to know how long it's going to take to sort of ramp up before he either hits his ceiling high, I mean, like, or faster, his potential faster, or for them to see that he's good enough to where we can start placing people beside. Because I was like, they got a couple young players that like good young players here, but I don't. But I was like, those young players got like I want to say like 2 or 3 years on them that I don't see them sticking like that, because I was like, I was like Pop and them haven't really retained a lot of their people really like lately. Like in the last few years, I was like after a while they're like either letting them go and like go ahead and get your money, or they're sort of trading them in order to get some more value here. So I don't expect none of some of these dudes to fully be here when the actual Wemba Express starts. So that's what's going to be like the cool thing of how fast does this go in order for them to start, trading some of these people and somebody to pick. Cause they got a lot of picks, and I was like, to me, see, cause I was like, I feel like what they're going to try to do is try to find like, you don't want to, you ain't gonna trade them picks for like Dame or nothing like that. Those picks you would try to trade for like in my head, I'm trying to think like who like, I think his name is AM Hoop. Uh, he suggested like Luka Doncic, and while I get Luka Doncic having the trouble in Dallas, I actually don't think that Luka's going to really leave like that, to be honest. But to me, I was thinking of somebody like Josh Giddey from Oklahoma City, like somebody like that. To me, where I was like, where I'm like he got like all-star potential, but is he gonna? I was like, unless like Oklahoma City come out here and it's like a top, like 3 seed here in the future, is he gonna be that? Especially with Shy there. So to me, those are like the young pieces like to look for, where they're just like where it's like, oh, they haven't fully developed yet, they haven't fully got to break out or whatever, but they could play with Wemby in some type of form or something like that. Now, as far as everybody else, uh, I guess, I mean, like, like they were talking about Portland getting them, and I was like, to me, I'm like, it wouldn't be enough for like Dane to really stay and like, give it some time, or would that just be more of cool? Do we move off Dane because we got our franchise person? Because I know there's also because with the Trailblazers, what they've done quite a bit is what you sort of seen like once that one person who was sort of the star of the team starts to like get there and they get the next person, they sort of move them out. I was like, I mean, granted, Brandon Roy and Greg Oden, they had injuries, but LaMarcus, who we sort of thought was going to be like the dude of the team, well, then Dame comes along, so guess what? LaMarcus goes or whatever, and I guess that was more of his pick than Portland, but so I'm just like, I feel like that would just be like, all right, cool, we sort of got our centerpiece. We'll do right by Dame. We'll get rid of him or something like that because he's not going. Because by the time Wemby's ready to go, Dame's not. Uh, the Pistons, that would have been unique of Cunningham, and if they also stick with Wiseman, just because I would like to see something crazy like that. I'm like, can you imagine like if like I don't think I was like I think the jury's still out on Wiseman. I'm not ready to like give up on him, but he's a 7 footer, long rangy that can hit the mid range jumper. And I'm like, you put that with Wemby, so another over 7 footer dude, and just have two long people, but they're basically perimeter oriented in a way where I'm like, cool. I'm like, how did this twin tower thing works in this NBA? Because a lot of people say you can't have two big like back in the day, and it's like, yeah, but one of them both could get buckets and shoot threes or whatever. That would have been something to see. Um, I was like, Hornets, one can dream. Um, I mean, on one hand, it was like him and Lamelo, and then and dang it, Mark Williams would have been something to see because I was like that would have been a different also dynamic of 2 7 footers as well. But Lamelo got the ball and did like a perimeter score, while he also could do lobs and all this other stuff. But also too, the way the Hornets developed, I feel like that would have just been like you just had to been praying that Wemby's able to overcome, and like LeBron, like how LeBron was able to overcome horrible teams and bad development. And to me, that would have been like basically with Wemby in Carolina. Um, but yeah, so good for Wemby. I was like, I mean, yeah, you're gonna go to a place that's it's almost like when you're a quarterback and it's almost like for instance Patrick Mahomes being drafted and going to Kansas City that was already a playoff team. I was like, cool. I was like, I get good coaching to development, and also too, like that team's ready to go. Except for this one, not a playoff team, but you get all the good coaching and development. Anyway, that was just my 2 cents on this whole thing. Not really serious. or anything. But anyway, you like my little like BS take on this whole draft thing or whatnot. I was like, I appreciate it. Thanks. If not, hey, maybe next time. But until then, peace. I'm out.